The city of Prague has many different statues and monuments when you walk in the old town square, or any street for that matter. Around every corner there is some commemoration to an old Catholic priest or king. These capture the eyes of tourists every day, but also how do the people within the city feel about them? Let's ask a tourist, Andy Lance, about her perception of the statues.
The statues in Prague mean history to me, and also depending on how they made it, and then also the coloring and what is still around today versus what was around in a certain century really does put into perspective of what is actually still relevant and what is actually still important in today's society for Czech Republic, and also knowing like World War II was a big example of this entire thing, and actually getting to put that into perspective and really seeing in person those statues and those stories behind it instead of just hearing from textbooks has really been nice to get to see and just, again, really put it into perspective. I think they mark certain points of the culture as, again, humans and society in general are always changing. And so something like statues and especially art in general really does bookmark, for lack of a better term, the culture of its time. And so getting to see that, and again, which statues are still around today versus which ones were destroyed because of X, Y, Z event really does show you how people both reflected the history and then also whether they rejected or accepted the history as well.
Now, let's take another tourist and see if their opinion on the statues is the same. Next up, we have Alec Decker, another tourist here in Prague.
The statues in Prague mean a lot to me because I know nothing about them. But seeing them and seeing all the placards that they have on them, I get to learn about them and learn about the Prague and Czech history, and it's been great. When it comes to the culture of Prague specifically, the statues are there to represent historical figures and historical events throughout the years. And as a tourist or a student here visiting, seeing the statues around allows me to interpret the history in my own way and take it all in and learn something new. One of my favorite statues that I've seen, purely based on aesthetics and how I've seen it, because I haven't looked into it yet, there's this guy downtown. He's hanging off of like a 3 or 4 story building, and he's just holding on. I'm not exactly sure what it means, but it stands out. I think it's really cool, and right after this interview, I'm going to go look it up.
Okay, seems to be close to the same answer about how tourists perceive the statues. Now it's finally time to ask a local here in Prague about what the statues mean to him. Wojtek Jamm.
I don't know really. Not really like, I don't think I really like take care that much about them, the statues. It's usually, I don't think like particularly that I was like, there's just some statue that I would be like interested in or something that would be like, so it's very hard to answer. So just part of the historical center and stuff. Yeah, I really don't kind of like don't take care about them actually. I mean, like actually in a way I care about the statues more elsewhere because they are more, from my point of view, they are more authentic. Because in Prague everything is so refurbished, so much in a way prepared for tourists. So it's more like I don't have the trust to like to watch these things and start to think about it, what about them, their history, because everything is already like kind of like seems a little bit more artificial. Because if you find some statue that's on some really like historic town that's out of the touristic center, that's more interesting because it can have some real history behind it and some things, so it's more authentic. So I agree that they are part of the history for sure, but I think the problem that why I ignore most of the stuff in Prague is that it's already so refined and so artificial. I think it's not really that, but it just feels way too pop, profound. I don't know. So I really don't ignore these kind of things in Prague.
Fascinating. Seems like there's a disconnect about what the statues mean to the tourists versus what they mean to the locals. This kind of makes sense, though, when you think about Moscow and the statues we have on Admin Lawn. Some people don't even know it exists because it is so small, and others may not even know what it represents, which the statue I'm referring to on Admin Lawn is a memorial to the Spanish-American War. But these very different answers are still interesting nonetheless, and goes to show how people who have lived here their whole life may never fully understand what the statues mean to them or the history behind the city.